have the textbook.
You don't have the textbook.
Or you don't have they call it the workbook then.
So,
Charlie, man suffered before.
Beatrice Adu, read for us.
Your Excellency, Vice President Professor Jane Nana Opoku-Agyeman, Right Honorable Speaker of Parliament, Your Ladyship, the Chief Justice, Your Excellency. No, why don't I jump that and go straight to the message?
But you are the one
I wish you a
the one
happy independence. 10 years ago, Sisters Dawolo.
Forgive him. Read. Just read. Don't mind him.
I wish you a happy Independence Day. 10 years ago, during Ghana's 58th independence anniversary, we implemented reforms to the annual Independence Day parade. This eased the burden on thousands of school children who march, sparing them from hours of standing in the scorching sun. They formed up on the parade ground only when it was time for their march past and presidential acknowledgement. A few years ago, the previous administration decided to rotate the hosting of Independence Day celebrations among the regions of our country, an initiative intended to bring the celebration closer to all our people. Unfortunately, this year, we are constrained to interrupt the celebrations rotation in the regions and hold it in a scaled down version here at the presidency's forecourt instead of the traditional Black Star Square. This is a necessary step considering the economic crisis our nation is currently experiencing. Large-scale celebrations often come with significant logistics, security, and public infrastructure costs, which strain the national budget. By reducing the scale of the event, we wish to demonstrate a commitment to fiscal responsibility and efficient use of limited resources. Now, fiscal prudence has become imperative for navigating the severe economic crisis that has recently confronted our country. The state spent 15 million Ghana cedis on last year's celebration in Koforidua. The typical resident would say Koforidua. And 13.7 million Ghana cedis on the previous year's celebration in Ho.
50 million. 13 million. Hey.
We received estimates of at least 20 million for holding the event at Independence Square this year on the same scale as previous years. In a year when we call on everyone to sacrifice, including workers who have accepted a base pay adjustment far below the inflation rate, it is unconscionable to spend that much money on a few hours of celebration. Today's event would save us 95% of the estimated cost. Nonetheless, this scaled-down celebration does not diminish the importance and significance of this occasion in any way. Ghana's independence is the single most important event in our history, as it sets us on the path to nationhood. It is even more significant because it lit the flames of independence in sub-Saharan Africa by inspiring other countries yoked to colonial exploitation to seek self-determination. This day must always be commemorated, but when reality calls for a different approach, we must heed it and act accordingly. Moreover, hosting the celebration here at the presidency preserves the symbolic essence of Independence Day while demystifying the seat of government. Fellow compatriots, Independence Day celebrations serve as an opportunity to remember our nation's struggle for freedom and to honor the sacrifices of our forebears who led that struggle for self-rule. It reinforces our national identity, unity, and patriotism while offering a moment for reflection on our progress and the challenges ahead. It presents opportunity to recount our history, pick the lessons it teaches, and forge a new path for progress and development. Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, the founder of our nation, envisioned an industrialized, self-reliant Ghana, whose citizens have the highest standard of economic life and the greatest sense of self-esteem rooted in Pan-African unity. But on February 24, 1966, a joint military and police coup shattered that dream, plunging Ghana into decades of instability and military takeovers. The verdict of history is now loud and clear. The classified document from the U.S. archives reveal that it was a coup inspired and engineered by the CIA. This remains the most regrettable and darkest moment in our nation's journey. That moment sparked a series of historical events that have set us back and significantly delayed our attainment of the objectives of nationhood. We have had moments of triumph and moments of anguish. We have blossomed into a fully fledged democracy with a healthy culture of peaceful power transfers. We must, however, remind ourselves that democratic participation transcends the act of voting. It is fundamentally about accountability and the security needed to demand it. It is about safeguarding the people's freedoms and rights and fulfilling the promises of socio-economic prosperity enshrined in our founding document. Oh,
Yeah.
thank you very much.
So essentially, we're getting the president telling us that he is looking at being austere. But then, beyond the austerity, we should be seeing a certain investment of the monies that have been saved and to be directed in, the distance and the place where the monies have been taken to. In the past, we're told that the members of the executive and appointees of the executive were going to take a 30% salary cut.
Yes,
You remember that?
That was after the COVID hit us so bad. Was
Right.
it when inflation was 54%?
Yes. Did you know where that money went to? Nobody
They will have to tell us.
Nobody accounted for it.
They'll have to tell us.
The Council of State at the time mentioned to us that they were going to give us 20% of their allowances per month. Do you know where that money went to?
They will have to tell us.
So, if we are being told now that we saved so much, the government of the day owes us a duty to tell us where the money went to and what purpose it has been put to.
I think anytime there is transfer of power, I believe there's transfer of document, of everything, so you get to know what has been done and what is yet to be done. So I believe if the current government wants to look at it, it could demand for it. It could demand for it because at the end of the day, we heard President Mahama asking IGP Dr. Dampare to set up an independent committee. Independent meaning that there would be police officers dedicated to that probe alone and not engrossed in or indulged in other issues as well. And I'm talking about the 2020 election and even 2024 election violence. So they say when there's a will, there's a way.
So we have heard Mare Chitre. Beatrice, do you like live band music?
Yeah,
You like it?
yeah.
Really? What part of live band music do you like?
Sisters, don't laugh.
Oh no. But the man has not laughed you. Oh, Jesus. The man has not even begun. It's not said anything.
I'm trying to remember his name. I think he's a bit of mixed race. That's man. What's the name? Some tall guy.
Mixed race, is it fair?
Yes, he's fair.
Bolton?
No. He's Ghanaian.
Ghanaian? Michael Bolton is Ghanaian.
No, he's one of the high life.
Ben Bracco.
I think so. Let me Google if I see the picture.
Hey, this Google thing. Charlie.
Tire for your hand, no?
Yeah.
Ben
it's him.
Bracco.
Yes.
Yeah, he's not mixed race, it's Fanti.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's Fanti. It's a great guy. Yeah.
And then Ambule.
Cheduble Ambule.
Charlie, let's get an ambulance.
Sunrise on 3FM. The best in the morning.
You ready to party? Yeah! You ready to party?
They say we have to wait till 4 p.m.
1, 2, 3,
Beatrice is shocked.
His sisters doesn't know how to dance one.
Awilo Lugomba.
Stand. I won't stand.
I challenge you.
I won't take that challenge.
Please, Beatrice. No, you have to. No.
I won't take that challenge.
Because, oh no. It's obvious you don't know how to dance.
It's okay.
It's okay.
Hey, Shemawa. I'm gonna play it too.
Let's talk to Professor Godfred Bokping. He's joining us on the phone line. Prof, good morning. Thank you very much for your time.
Yes, good morning, and good morning to your cherished listeners.
Great. Yesterday, you had the president. Ghana at 68, we're reflecting, we're reviewing, and we're resetting. Did the president speak your mind?
Largely, yes. He set the tone. I think that he captures what resonates with a lot of Ghanaians. 68 years after independence, reflecting, reviewing, resetting, I think it's in order. We've had enough data, evidence of our own past, where we had success, our failings, missed targets. So if we want to reset, I believe that there is sufficient ground to reset properly, so that we don't reset in a backward way, but we reset in a positive way, that by the half of this century, 2050, thereabout or beyond, we should say that yes, we made it, because there was a time where we decided, after 68 years, that we should not continue that way again. So to that extent, I would say yes, given but actually if you look at the resources that we have had to utilize in the past 28 years, government by government, and you see the quantum and quality of development that we have had in the last 68 years, I think there is a cause for us to research. There is a cause for us to take a critical look at our own affairs and how we have governed ourselves. There's an imperative. There is a reason. There's a cause why we must do things differently, with a different mindset. That's my considered view. I think 68 years is quite enough to do any serious analysis, introspection, reflection, review, and how do we make use of that long data at our disposal across different political parties and military regimes and all of that. So if we were mindful, if we want to be mindful of how data can inform policy and implementation going forward, I think Ghana has no valid excuse. We have enough data now to reset for the good.
You look at the books that we have, particularly beginning from the state-owned enterprises and cutting across different sectors of the economy, and the story doesn't look too good.
Yeah.
As Osibisa said, it will be hard. We know the road will be muddy and rough, but we will get there. Is it going to be an easy road, and how soon are we able to do this reset so that people can smile and be happy again?
I think it will come down to leadership. Leadership that will last. The reason I'm saying so is that if you look at this country, more recently under the Fourth Republic, 1993, after the election, 97, after the 96 election, 2001, after the 2000 election, 2009, after the 2008 election, and more recently also looking at 2017 after the 2016 election, and then the president's second coming. What you see is a certain assertiveness and consciousness that our leaders bring to the table, especially in their first year. Either you see it in the State of the Nation address, independence celebration, their first year.
Right.
You see a certain recollection of missed targets and the desire to be transformative, the desire to offer the right leadership, backed by statements. But the problem is that beyond the wonderful statements that gives hope and all of that, when the euphoria of that statement and the honeymoon effect of the new administration, regime change, and all of that begins to die down,
Right.
simply because we are unable to sustain that. Because if you look at the speech the president gave, I was also at the National Economic Forum where the president outlined his vision for Ghana. And if you look at the NDC manifesto, if you look at the State of the Nation's address, if you look at the presentation the Minister of Finance made at the National Economic Forum, they all add up. They give a certain sense that, yes, things will be done differently. Yes, it's just a matter of time, and we will arrive, and all of that. But the point is, the implementation, when different actors, opposing actors, conflict of interest, and all of that are then put on the table, that is where we bow to the pressure of self-interest and party interest, and we surrender the common interest, or we submit the common interest to self-interest and political interest. I think those are the things that we don't do well. Beyond the wonderful statement, how do we translate that into action, concrete steps, where we monitor to see the progress? Okay, the issue is that when the president outlines a wonderful vision like this, how do we work with that? How do we the people who have been appointed, ministers, CEOs of state-owned enterprises, do they have the same orientation?
Okay.
Are they aligned that when the president is done with his statement, do they do they move with that statement? Do they carry that out with that same urgency and all of that? Is very important. And I can give you an example. If you look at the scriptures, Christ came, he had a vision. He clearly read out that vision. You can see that in the book of Luke chapter 4, I think from verse 17, 18, and 19. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me. He has anointed me to do this, and all of that. When he closed the book. In the next 3.5 years or so, he trained, built the capacity of the disciples. When he had brought them to the same level where he could call them brethren, he said it was okay for me to retire at age 33.5, and the disciples will carry the vision and the mission to the rest of the world.
I see.
So a lot depends on the team the president is putting together. And because they are the channels, the avenues through which the vision of the president will be actualized. Because if you look at, as you rightly indicated, other countries made much more progress through the efficiency of state-owned enterprises. They are the anchors of the state. So when it comes to state-owned enterprises, the conflict should be small or less compared to private sector. Because private sector, their objectives and all of that may not totally align with the state. They are aimed to make profit, they are aimed to create value and all of that. But when it comes to the state, but oftentimes you realize that in our part of the world, the rot and the inefficiency tend to come more from state-owned enterprises, where the president has direct influence over the appointment, composition of their boards and the rest of them. Is that not interesting?
It is indeed. Prof,
meanwhile, the private sector, on the average, tend to do well. But of course, an inefficient public sector represents cost to private sector as they interact with them. So I think that when it comes to statements, good intentions, I think the president has checked the box. And of course, if we look back, we can also say that other presidents have made bold statements and all of that. I'm sure you remember President Akufo-Addo 2017, during his State of the Nation address and the independence of 2017 and all of that. I mean, you get the impression that, wow, in fact, to the extent that he even declared Ghana beyond aid. And that statement resonates quite well with even the Francophone countries, much more than Ghana. Some people within the continent even saw President Akufo-Addo as Osagyefo of our time, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah of our time. Okay, probably he started as Osagyefo, and maybe others will say he ended up as Osagyefo or something. So the point is that from now, how does the president get the team, the ministers, directors, state-owned enterprise, all of them to get that same vision and mission and run with it? And then the president will have a back office to be monitoring and getting the data, real data. Look, one of the things we don't do well in this country, and here I believe that academics, we are also part of it. A lot of the things we work with, presentations that are made by state officials, we oftentimes we rely on foreign reports, either done by the IMF and the World Bank and the rest of them. The question is, what is our own national data gathering mechanism that allows us to monitor our policy prescriptions real time? For instance, if the president will be having cabinet meetings, let's say every quarter, there has to be some kind of report, sector by sector, minister by minister, based on KPIs, key performance indicators, linked to the critical success factors within the various ministries, department, agencies, and the rest of them. Because if we are not data-driven, and we are not monitoring, and the rest of them, chances are that people could easily tell the president, oh, we are doing well, oh, we are doing well. And if the president doesn't have a means of reconnecting with the reality, with the grassroots, then chances are that you will be living in your own world.
I hear you, Prof.
The connect between the presidency and the reality and the ordinary people will begin to widen. Because the people who are close to you are likely to tell you what you want to hear.
That's right.
They are even likely to tell you things are well, when in the actual fact things are not. But you can easily resolve that if our meetings, our everything is data-driven, then we put in place the right mechanism to collect that data. For instance, if we are talking about poverty and the rest of them, we are likely to refer to World Bank, IMF data. That's what happens, right? How often do we relate with the data that is coming from Ghana Statistical Service? And how do we probably reach to Ghana Statistical Service to get us real data that impacts the lives of Ghanaians? So those are the things that I think we need to do. As the president indicated, you can see time is not on his side.
That's right.
He has set the tone. It's not just, it doesn't depend totally on the president to get all of that done. But I believe that the president will be having regular interaction with his team. There should be proper orientation for all of them, some kind of, to secure their commitment.
Okay. Prof,
that way, there will be results.
I hear you.
Let me give you an example before
finally
you come in. If you look at Trump's second coming, and you compare that to his first administration, where the team he put together, there were even internal conflicts here and there. I think now he's taking time to build a team where disagreement within the government is less. So a lot will depend on the team the president has put together. I pray that the team would understand and work with the vision of the president, work tirelessly to bring it to fruition. It's very, very important because there's no point in doing the work of 10 when you can get 10 to do the work. The president can't do it alone. So we have to work with a team, work through a team. And the people of Ghana, the private sector, public sector, that will be very fundamental.
Thank you very much, Professor Godfred Bokpin. He's an economist and a professor of finance at the University of Ghana. And we'll go to another prof. Professor Mohammed Assar is a senior lecturer and consultant, CK Tedam, University of Technology and Applied Sciences. Prof, good morning, and apologies for holding you on for a long time. How are you doing, sir?
Oh, I'm doing fine, Johnny.
Great.
Good morning to all your listeners, too.
Yes, sir. Let's hear you. We're 68. What reflections should we be naturally having as a country that is inching towards 70? What do you say?
Yeah, so as a country, 68, yes, if you want to relate it to a human being, you say the human being at 68 is an old man. But to me, yes, as a country that has everlasting until maybe the world comes to an end, we might say that, yes, we are old, but not so old. If you compare countries that have really stayed, like the United States, and then other countries that have become great today, I think we are not quite old. But old in the sense that at least we had an agenda from the beginning that at least we were going independent to become self-reliant. So looking at it from that point of view, we are old. At least we have been able at this time to be able to set the agenda to become self-reliant. But that is where many people say that, yes, we are old, but we have not really been able to achieve much.
Now, speaking of the tone and the mood and the composure of the president yesterday at the Independence Day celebrations, he brought us a bit of history, but also told us what our situation has been. Are we able to get out of this quagmire in quick time, or must we wait for a longer period? What do you say?
It took us so long to get to where we are. We got it right at the point of independence. If you're looking at the data and then what happened during independence and then after independence, 7-year deployment plan of Nkrumah, all the things that we're able to do, and even the recognition of theory. If you look at the theoretical development theory that Nkrumah really brought on board, you could see that this was somebody who really believed in theory. And there's this statement people always make. Oh, this is theory, and it does not relate to reality.
Right.
And I always have a problem with that. If you look at the development trajectory of any country, all the developed countries, and those emerging countries, they are always guided by a theory. If you look at the approach Nkrumah came into independence, he really was guided by a theory, the modernization theory. In development theory,
That's
we
right.
have what we call the modernization theory.
That's right.
And he recognized that so well, and he actually respected the stages of Rousseau, the 5 stages of development. He could not recognize that, but at the same time, also was be guided by the fact that, like later on theory of dependency, do not affect him. As we speak today, many of the countries that are not able to get it jump onto the defense by saying that the dependency theory is the cause of their underdevelopment. But at what point did you even consider any of them before you are now thinking of who is making you not develop? So looking at it, we miss it greatly from that point, that we are moving probably forward or backwards. As many times I ask the question, where did we start? And then we are looking at where we want to end. You don't know exactly where you want to be.
Right.
And you are doing things, and I say some of the groups that we record in Ghana are spontaneous, because sometimes we do not even know where and why we are there, because data you go, as Prof. Bobkin has talked about, you don't even have a credible data. And one day you muscle the data that is around, and then you see that, oh, this year we have grown up to this level in terms of our GDP. But did you even plan that this is the way you want to achieve the GDP? Did you plan that if we are going to achieve the GDP growth, but we want to look at issues of inequality? Did we look at the fact that you can increase your GDP, but when you're looking at your development in terms of comparative development, you are not growing? You can have a higher GDP,
I see.
but you do not have development in your country. Look at the Human Development Report across the world, and you see that some countries have high GDP, but when you look at their development, it's low. So we have to consciously put the agenda of the country in a theoretical framework, and we will sit and say, look, based on this theory has been applied here and there. Malaysia, Singaporeans apply these theories, and they are where they are today. So we shouldn't just think that it is going to be by chance that we are going to develop. No, there must be a guiding principle. There must be a theoretical framework. And many contemporary development writers are complaining about how many developing countries are wishing to just develop without ready to take the agenda of what we call theoretical development planning. You do not have a plan. How do you achieve what you want to be? 40 years development plan. Look at this after independence. All the development plans that worked, you saw how the Nkrumah did it. But afterwards, when 2020 came, can you tell me exactly what we achieved? Now we came to another Ghana Shared Development Agenda 1, Agenda 2. Now we came to this work of 40 years development plan, and every day we are on the drawing board. Please, I think that we are not ready for development. We wish development, but we are not working for development.
Let me quickly ask you this in closing before I bring in Professor Smart Sapon, who's joined us on the phone line. This government talks about resetting. If I give you the opportunity to tell us 3 sectors that we quickly need to reset, what would they be?
We need to reset our mindset. We need to reset our understanding of the state. Look, how do you as a Ghanaian see Ghana? Other countries see their country as their father. Now Ghanaians see Ghana as a big elephant to go and cut my share. We need to change that mentality, that the Ghana that you are living in is your father. And if you overburden your father, you steal your father all the time. Your father works hard, and every time you are just out to go and steal. The mentality we have in Ghana is that the state is having enough, that anybody who gets the opportunity to go to steal the state is the smart one. So we are rather going to school. The state is spending money to educate us to come and steal it. That is one thing that we have to reset. The culture of hard work, we are losing it because it appears young people do not want to work. They want money. So look at, and now the political parties have understood that. And that's how they are able to get them when it comes to elections. Give them money, they'll vote for you. and then you go and then you steal the state and bring it back to them. So we need to rechange. We need to change that mentality. It must happen to that the political parties, in fact, politics is about rewarding in Ghana. It's about rewarding in Ghana. That you become a public servant as a politician, and overnight, somebody who has not worked suddenly has become richer than a businessman. We have to change the mentality that politics is richer than doing business. Now, business people are leaving business to go to politics because it's more rich, it's more profitable to go into politics than doing business. So, and when you go into politics, what is the source of the income? You are going to fill the state. Look, as we speak today, as somebody was doing some analysis somewhere, that the losses that Ghana is making, it's not even from the fiscal stealing, people are stealing from their offices, but the denial of the state from getting its rightful resources. Taxes are evaded because you evade 10,000, let's say 100 million, and you give 1 million to the politician, and he's happy with that, and you can evade and take the rest away. Look at what we did in the the formulation of the Minerals and Mining Act. We revised it in 2016, and we still allowed mining companies to repatriate up to 90% of their profits. How can an extractive company come to your country, make those profits, that you don't have any strategy of allowing them to reinvest in your country, and they can repatriate up to 90%, and you allow that in your law, because they came and saw you at the back door, called lobbying in Parliament.
I hear you.
So you made money as a politician, and now your state has been denied the rightful taxes or investments from your extractive sector. So to me, yes, we know all the answers. We know what's expected to be done, but the one to lead the agenda is not a challenge. Now, those who are the politicians, into politics, are we in there to go and help rebuild the state institutions? Appointments are coming. And then when they appoint people, we are, congratulations. Some of the people, have they really worked in the sectors that they are appointed to go and then lead? And there's a growing concern in the public sector. I work a lot with most of the public institutions. And people are getting worried. Johnny, you are working at TV3.
Yes,
and you just know very well that I will never become the MD. How will you feel? At any point in time, when it gets to the top, I've worked, studied, a lot of experience, and I just know very well that I will never become the boss. Because somebody will sit somewhere and appoint somebody to come and be my boss. How will I work? How will I be dedicated to grow or to allow the place to grow? And that is the resentment from the public sector workers. It's a worrying, and we need to look at that seriously. As much as, we know that some people have the experience. You can appoint them. We know that the person can do the work. The person probably has been a consultant. He has been working in that field, and then therefore you are appointing. But that is another area that we have to reflect and then see how we can change.
Thank you.
We are going to replace the public sector with politicians, and the interest of a politician, we all know, is nothing but to make money. And we will ensure that all the state institutions will continue never to make profit. As the reports are saying, is that not so? How can they make money? How can they make profit? Then you have appointed people who are only choppers to go and be there as leaders.
I thank you. Professor Mohamed Assah is a senior lecturer. He's also a consultant, but presently teaches at the CK Chidam University of Technology and Applied Sciences. We're grateful for your time, Prof. Good morning.
Thank you.
It's 5 minutes after 9 if you check your clock. And the last in the batch of professors we'll be talking to is Professor Smart Sapon, who's joining us on the phone line. He's a political scientist, researcher at Kumasi Technical University. Prof, good morning. Thank you for your time.
Yes, Johnny, good morning.
Prof, so yesterday when we advertised that you were going to be on our network, the people started asking that you were so sure in your research and the findings ahead of the 2024 elections. And they asked me to ask you what happened. You know, I said the people. So what happened, Prof?
Johnny, thank you so much, and a good morning to our cherished viewers and listeners. Well, what you do as a researcher is to be very firm with the methodology. Make sure the data is from the ground, and then you share your report. Every researcher as well expects a variation between the predicted and the actual that comes, because usually there is lapse of time. Usually there is expected that minds are supposed to change, especially in instances like this where it's about people's opinion. Opinions may vary from time to time. My report was released to cover data that was captured in October. And so from October 17th to December 7th, naturally, I was expecting a variation between the report I gave and the actual that will come. And if you check my recommendations, I was urging political parties to work hard to cause a variation, because at least from my report, there was no winner as at the time my data was collected.
Right.
It was a likely runoff if elections were to be held in 17th of October. So the recommendations was that we do not need anything called runoff. Political parties should work hard, finish at 30 days to election. A lot can be done. And let's not miss words. Let's congratulate the NDC, who worked very, very hard. I'm not sure any member of the NDC would think that the election was won just on a silver platter. It was as a result of the hard work of all of them, including some friends that I know who stayed in the woods for months without coming home. I don't have time to mention their names, but I know a lot of them and the hard work they did. So that is exactly what happened.
Prof, now we've spoken about reflect, we've spoken about review, reset. I want to take you back to review, and those were the key points that heralded the independence celebration. In fact, it's been also part of the campaign. As a country, what do we need to review at 68 so that we don't start sounding like we are old, but we are not being smart enough?
Johnny, a lot. And I just wish that as a country we would be one, united in purpose, at least for once. When you listen to the inaugural address of His Excellency the President, John Dramani Mahama, he virtually called on all hands to be on deck. It was one uniting inaugural speech, and I felt from that day that at least an opportunity has come for Ghanaians to unite in purpose once again. We live to see, it's still early days yet, but I just wish and reiterate on this day and the topic you have put before me that Ghanaians should try at least for once to come to the same table. Let's unite. We know what to do to develop our country, but sometimes it is the division of purpose that affects us. Let's rethink the way we see Mother Ghana. And I like the way Prof ended in the just ended conversation. Those are the markets. Those are the business fronts who create artificial shortages and increments in prices of goods and services. How are they orienting their mind? How are they, after 68 years of the life of a state, how are they thinking of going forward? Are they going to go forward in the same behavior, the same mindset? We say we run or practice a free market system. Others have done it to beat down price. Competition has led in many countries to downward trend in price of goods and services here. And the so-called free market, we create WhatsApp platforms, and we rather early morning think of what to do to increase prices of goods and services, and it is just a mirage of a system we are practicing. I just hope that we review our mindset as heads of state, people managing state and private institutions, organizations, as to what to do to close in on the loopholes. For example, Gold Board, the new Gold Board, I know they will not be able to stop all the smuggling, but Johnny, it's so disheartening to hear, and we heard it in times past, that whereas on our records, the ounce or tons of gold that went across the shores was A, people who received it, Ghana's gold across the shores, were mentioning a different
tonnage, higher than what we recorded in our books. I know the new gold board will not be able to block all smuggling, but at least they can start from blocking the loopholes where smuggling may likely occur. Block some so that we can, for the first time or going forward, record a good, volumes, real, comparative to what we have in our books as we seek to check smuggling. I just hope that we'll review the minds that came into the earlier, our forefathers, who felt that a place like Bonsai in the western region can help us manufacture ties here. And so if you go to that area, you see a lot of rubber plantation intended to feed into the factory sited. A lot of places, meat factories, rubber factories, a lot across the country. Why did those factories got themselves into those areas? Perhaps they were areas rich in those raw materials we may need to keep the factories working. 68 years down the line, we look back and we don't see anything. I just want to wish that one day we would do all these reflections, and we are doing it now, so that those with the authority to have some of these things refunction again can just do their best. At least for 68 years, we should be able to do some of these things. Check Burkina Faso. Recently, the young man took over a military ruler, and just within a year or so, they've been able to establish a gold refinery. We keep these things in our books for years we are unable to do, and this young military leader in Burkina Faso in 1 year has been able to do that. Not only that, we import tomatoes from there.
Right.
What they have done is that they now want to refine the tomatoes, and they've come up with 2 big, huge tomato processing factories. What it means is that going forward, they may not want to be sending the tomatoes to us raw. They want to add value and sell it to us. What are we doing to the lands that we also have? We claim our land is not able to produce dry tomatoes like this. But you remember in the past, we used to have a factory that produces a drink around the Akumadan area called Branco.
That's
the drink
right.
was called Branco.
That's
yes.
right. That's right.
Yes. So they take out the fluid in our tomatoes, and then it can be used to produce something else like they were doing in the past. So all the excuses we give to the reason why we are here are usually not excuses. For all you know, God even wanted us to get an extra value by way of the drink before the processing and all those other things. But we use them as reasons why we should abandon our tomato industry here in Ghana and go to Burkina Faso. Now they are wising up. 2 major producing factories, and if they begin to refine ore, we will not get the dry. We may want to still deal with them, buy what they have added value to, and it keeps sinking us down. A lot to reflect over after 68 years as a state.
Now, the question then comes, it's the people we teach in the schools who eventually come out to graduate to go and work in these places. Do we need to review what we are teaching as well, so that the bridge that is missing between academia and industry can now be constructed so that people can walk safely from academia to industry and vice versa?
Well, the training institutions like ourselves cannot take ourselves out of the point we've got into. If you remember, right from the beginning, we were taught technical skills, even at the JSS and all those things, those early ages. Somebody who completed middle school, if for nothing at all, can set up a home factory. In Taiwan, I don't know the current state, but my father tells me in their time, every home in Taiwan was manufacturing something. Currently, the technical universities like ourselves, we are running a model that mimics that of the Germans. And they have been able to, in Germany, they have been able to, through their technical system, transform many homes to become artisanal homes. So if for nothing at all, you would get 1 skilled person per home. 1 skilled person per home. Either skills in one skill or the other. There are a lot of skills. There are about 48 separate identified skills that people are trained in our schools. You can find at least a skilled person in each home. Here in Ghana, we are not anywhere near that because the mindset is that if you have a skill or you adventure entrepreneurship or you want to be self-employed, even the society doesn't see you as working if you are self-employed. They don't see you as you are working. They want to see everybody get up in the morning, work in, step out, and come back in the evening. Self-employed people largely are not seen as working.
Right.
But if you take critical analysis of the income of these self-employed people, I mean the younger ones, not the bigger companies, you realize that even if you are able to do 100 Ghana cedi a day, you are doing like 3,000 or 2,000 plus Ghana cedi a month, which is likely equivalent to the civil servant of your grade who wakes up in the morning and wears tie and all those things. And the cost in serving that work by the civil servant is higher than you who is at home, maybe doing something self-employed. So the mindset is making the study of entrepreneurship quite difficult. People who sign up to it still don't want to keep the mindset of entrepreneurship. They don't want to finish that one as a course and then go look for a bank or somewhere there to work. All right, so we can't take ourselves out. I have a report that came out in, I think last 2 years, about the entry requirements onto Ghana's job market. I'll send you a copy of that book. And in my book, you would realize that the executive level employment as compared to the middle and lower level employment, there's a clear mismatch. Just about 5% executive level employment, the middle level skill set level of employment, plenty, well over 55%. And you ask yourself, why then do we still have the issue of unemployment in our system? Then the employers will tell you that the issue is structural. The skill sets that our students come there with are largely mismatching the skill sets that they are looking for. But it's about society and how they see people who even want to study these skill sets as a core course, as a main program. You see, so yes, we have a role to play. I still think that the system we run, especially in the traditional universities,
right,
where a lot of theory is required compared to the practicals, needs to be reversed or balanced in a way. But then society would have to help our young ones to have the belief that the skill sets they carry or the entrepreneurship skills they carry from the universities can be converted to work and not to necessarily come join the queue. In fact, unemployed people employing, in quote, not highly educated people are employing our students and our youth more than educated people. What it means is that those who do not get higher learning to a certain level rather are doing well in their little entrepreneurship firms and are now employing our graduates as compared to our graduates who go after higher degrees, who come in queue for these not too literate people to employ. And that must be reversed. I agree with you.
Professor Smart Sapon, I thank you very much indeed for your time. He's a political scientist, researcher. He's also one of the main men to speak to at the Kumasi Technical University. Prof, thank you for spending your money with us. We're grateful.
Most welcome, my brother.
Great. And that's Professor Sapon there. Before him was Professor Bokping. Before him was Professor Mohamed Assar. And now, some Ghana music for you.